Jews are the number one employer of Jews. Asians are the number one employer of Asians. In fact, they have solved their unemployment problem in the Asian community with a simple solution. You know what that solution is, right? Chinese restaurants. And who do they employ in Chinese restaurants? Their own people, and there are millions of them, and there are plenty of them in our own neighborhoods. And we line up to buy Chinese food. You ever see Chinese people line up to buy soul food?
Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome to the very first episode of Black Excellence Daily. Really appreciate you tuning in. I am your host, Sean Croxton. I am slightly tempted to launch into a spiel about who I am, but we're not going to do that today. You'll learn more about me as these episodes go along. All I know is that I've been meaning to launch this podcast for at least a year now, and I'm just excited to get started. So let's go. If you follow me on the Instagram at Sean Croxton, you know that I mostly post content about three core pillars of Black excellence. Number one, take responsibility. Number two, never stop learning. Number three, build your own. And here's what I mean. Number one, take responsibility. This means that you and only you have the power to direct your own life. And that you have the agency, I love that word, agency, to change your circumstances if they need changing. It really comes down to you. And when you break down the word responsibility, it's two words, respond and ability. You have the ability to respond to whatever transpires in your life. You can respond in a way that advances you towards your goals, or you can respond in a way that moves you further and further away from your goals. Again, it's really up to you. And what happens when we decide not to take responsibility is we make other people responsibility for how our lives turn out. And we know what happens when we do that. So we have to take responsibility. Number two, never stop learning, ever. As I record this, I'm in my office and I'm surrounded by books. There are books everywhere, books behind me, books in front of me, books in the closet. There are books everywhere. When I was a kid, my parents would buy me books before I could read. They would take me to the library, take me to the bookstores. Even now as an adult, if I'm ever missing, you can find me at Barnes & Noble. I'm just committed to constant, never-ending learning. Why? Because things are moving so fast. If you're not reading, if you're not learning, you are going to get behind. There's no way you can't get behind. Technology is changing. Information is becoming outdated every day. You have to keep up. I always say that no one is hiding the information from you. You just have to read it. You got to sit down. You got to read. You got to take courses. You got to watch seminars. You got to get on YouTube. And if you don't, again, you will be left behind. And we have to understand that whatever you want to learn, you can learn. Whether that's how to start a business, how to manage and invest your money. We'll talk about that today. How to network, like all of that information is available. There has never been a time in the history of the world where so much information has been readily available to you. It's on your phone. Like it's literally in your pocket. It's on your phone. It's right there. It's really about taking advantage of these modern technologies so you can propel yourself forward in this economy. If you don't, you're going to get left behind. Number three, build your own. Be entrepreneurial. Start your own business. Hire your own people. Dr. Fraser is going to talk about this today. Don't leave it up to other groups of people to give you an opportunity. Don't wait on them to give you something. Go out there and get it. Create your own opportunities. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, whose book, Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, you have to read. He always says, where there are problems, there are opportunities. We live in a world full of problems. We live in communities that have problems, and each of those problems provides an opportunity to solve those problems in exchange for income. People want to solve their problems. People are willing to give you money to solve their problems. It's about saying, okay, that's the problem that I want to solve. And then you go out there and you solve it. That's entrepreneurship. I got another book recommendation for you. If you read The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley, great book, you will learn that a disproportionate number of millionaires are business owners. They write their own tickets by providing high quality service to people who have problems. And at the same time, they create jobs for their communities. And just like I just talked about learning, it has never been easier to start and grow a business, especially online. I've been doing this since 2007, and I'll share some tips with you as we go along with these episodes. But everything you need to start a business is in your pocket. You got a camera, you got Instagram, you got a microphone, you got Facebook, you got TikTok. We have all these platforms that allow you to solve problems and sell information in exchange for income. It's just readily available. It's all about learning what to do. And again, we'll get to that as we go through these episodes. I started my first business online, like I said, in 2007 called Underground Wellness. It was one of the first health-based YouTube channels. And I did it with a janky webcam, a YouTube account, and a MySpace page. That's a long time ago. I'm dating myself here, but it was a MySpace page, right? And so the opportunities have just elevated since then. So we have to take advantage. And if you commit to these three pillars, taking responsibility, never stop learning, build your own, you will become successful. I can guarantee you that. And the others will be left behind, unfortunately. And so on this podcast, 5 days a week, you can tune in and you'll hear words of wisdom from Black speakers, entrepreneurs, and authors who have done it, who have gone out there and done the thing and created their own businesses and hired their own people and created prosperity for themselves despite the obstacles. And that brings us to today's speaker, Dr. George Fraser. And I first stumbled upon Dr. George C. Fraser maybe 3 years ago. I was looking for content for my other podcast, The Quote of the Day Show. And I just love this brother because he's not afraid to tell the truth. And I think that like in the Black community, we have to be willing to speak more truth and get uncomfortable and be willing to listen to truth without casting people out, right? And Dr. Fraser clearly is not afraid of it, nor am I afraid of it. There will be many things that I say on this podcast that many people won't agree with, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for it. But, you know, that is the truth from my experience. I'm going to share with you what works, and I'm going to warn you about what does not work. And so be ready for a lot of bold truth in this podcast. And so Dr. Fraser today is going to discuss intergenerational wealth. It is not fair for the next generations to have to start off from scratch. We have to learn how to manage our money. We have to become financially literate. I'm going to say my first controversial thing right now is that, hey, number one, we're not going to get reparations. But even if we do get reparations, what would we do with that money? If we got a check in the mail for a few $100,000 or more, what would we do with it? How would we manage it? If we can't manage the money that we have right now, how are we going to be able to manage hundreds of thousands of dollars? Most of us will blow that money. It'll be gone in a flash, just like millionaires or just like lottery winners win millions of dollars and they're broke 5 years later. That is what will happen to a community that is generally, not everybody, but is generally financially illiterate. So we have to commit to becoming literate when it comes to our finances. We got to read some books and take some courses. We've got to learn about CDs and bonds and stocks and real estate and properties and expense ratios and index funds and mutual funds. If we don't know those basics, we are in trouble. So we have to make the commitment to becoming financially literate and not leaving future generations starting from zero or less. And that is our responsibility. So Dr. Fraser is going to talk about that. And also, of course, building Black businesses and hiring our own. Dr. George C. Fraser is coming up.
We have focused on achieving only two goals in the Black community. We've been working only on these two goals, and this is what our conference is about, for nearly 30 years. It is my deep belief that it will take 100 years to achieve these two goals. So none of us in this room will see the completion of these goals. Just as when our forefathers and ancestors began their fight for freedom, they did not live to see that come to fruition. So we will just pass the baton. Okay? Those two goals, number one, to help Black people build wealth that could be transferred intergenerationally, right? As you heard me say, we're not poor, we're just broke, right? We are not passing our wealth on. Our children will not be better off in most cases than we are. In other words, that's what the article was about, right? Because because there's really no intergenerational transfer of wealth, because we're spending it all up, we're consuming it, we're not fulfilling our moral and spiritual obligations to future generations, understanding that everything we do for our children. Just as everything our parents did, they did for us. So what, in fact, are we doing for our children? So we focus on education and training around economic literacy, because we are an economically illiterate people. We absolutely have no concept on why wealth is important, right? We need to fix that. Now, I'm not talking about all of us. I'm just talking about most of us. There are many that do understand money, how to leverage it, how to use it, but most of us don't, or we simply would not be in this state that we're in. So that's the first goal, the intergenerational transfer of wealth. People ask me all the time, Dr. Fraser, can you give me an example of the intergenerational transfer of wealth right now? Sure. Let's say you have two children. They're smart, and they qualify to go to Harvard, Yale, Morehouse, or Spelman at $55,000 a year. Can you pay for your child's college education, or will you stick your child with a $250,000 bill when they get out? That's the intergenerational transfer of wealth right now. You have two children. Your daughter decides to marry a handsome, successful young man. Can you do what Jewish parents do when their kids get married? Buy them their first home? Can you do that? How about can you put a down payment for them? Forget about buying a home. Can you give them 20 grand right now? 30 grand, 40 grand? So they can help them buy their first home? That's the intergenerational transfer of wealth right now. So we don't have to wait 100 years to understand why this is so important. The second goal is to help Black people become the number one employer of Black people by the end of the 21st century. That we must create work and jobs for our people, because that's the only way to raise up the poor. And every immigrant group that has ever come to this wonderful country has understood that, but Black people. Jews are the number one employer of Jews. Asians are the number one employer of Asians. In fact, they have solved their unemployment problem in the Asian community with a simple solution. You know what that solution is, right? Chinese restaurants. And who do they employ in Chinese restaurants? Their own people, and there are millions of them, and there are plenty of them in our own neighborhoods. And we line up to buy Chinese food. You ever see Chinese people line up to buy soul food? Shit, I ain't ever seen that anywhere in America. They ain't thinking about you and what you offer. They thinking about them and what they offer you. And most of us are just fine with that, because we have no consciousness around doing anything to fix that. So we must create work and jobs for our people. Now, I am not suggesting to all Black people that we should resign from the public and private sector and go start businesses. Oh, no, 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 no. There's some Negroes out there that should not be within 100 yards of owning a business. Right? You know, I don't know how long you've been Black, but I've been Black for 70 years. We have business people and we have business people. And the job of Fraser and the Power Networking Conference is to put the business people out of business. Right? Because they're messing it up for those of us who are trying to do serious business. Now, we have all met some Black business people. who ain't taking care of business. They do not deserve your support. Yes, I support utilizing black businesses, absolutely. But I use the Jewish philosophy. I learned this from Jews. Jews do not support Jewish businesses just because they're Jewish. Oh, no, Jews are much smarter than that. Jews will tell you, all things being equal, quality, value, and service. See, I could tell you to buy from a black, but you ain't getting quality, value, and service. You ain't stupid. You're not going to waste your money. Right? But all things being equal, same quality, value, and service, I'm a Jew, you're a Jew. That's the tiebreaker. But all things have to be equal first. And then we are of the same kind. You get my business. Yeah, there may be a brother that is of equal quality, value, and service, and, Jews love black people. But no, they're going to do business, generally speaking, with their own kind first, all things being equal. Right? So we help our people to chase excellence and not chase money. You see, money will always find excellence. In fact, when you become amazing and excellent at what you do, you will not be able to get out of the way of money. Most of us have that ass backwards. We are chasing money. We are not honing and developing and refining our skills. We figured, we got an education. I got a high school diploma. I may even have a college degree. That's all I need. Well, let me give you some statistics about brothers and sisters with college degrees. I read this statistic. I'm praying to God that this is not true, but I'm going to give you the statistic as I read it. 67% of African Americans that have a college degree, once they graduate from college, never read another book in their life. Let's just say that's half true. Well, if you ain't reading, you're in serious trouble, right? You are not engaged in personal growth and development, constant never-ending improvement, and lifelong learning, because education is the foundation, but it ain't going to get you where you need to go. You have to constantly reinvest in yourself.
That was Dr. George C. Fraser kicking us off on Black Excellence Daily. His website is powernetworkingconference.com. You can also follow him on Instagram at Dr. George C. Fraser. I've got a couple of his books right in front of me. Number one is Race for Success, the 10 best business opportunities for Blacks in America. Also, you can check out Success Runs in Our Race, the complete guide to effective networking in the Black community. And also, if you want to watch today's talk on YouTube, it is called Dr. George Fraser, Civil Rights Symposium 2015. All right, thank you so much for tuning in to our first episode of BXD. I'll see you tomorrow. We got Dr. Claude Anderson on tomorrow, Reverend Ike on Wednesday, the late Della Reese on Thursday, and we wrap things up with Myron Golden on Friday. I'll see you then. I'm out. Peace.